In a world full of noise, two voices rise above the chaos. Ron and Brian. They speak truth. They stir thought. They accidentally help. News, nonsense, and necessary self-care. Join the cult of Ron and Brian. Because the work is so important.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and it is time for yet another episode of the Cult of Ron and Brian. It's just a beautiful fall evening, would you say, Brian?
Listen, it's the perfect time of year. It is, I'm no longer profusely sweating. Look at this, Ron. Dry shirt.
Dry.
A dry shirt. Look at this. The fact, this is the time of year where I get excited.
Yeah.
I can, be physically active outdoors and not have to worry, am I embarrassing myself with perspiration? Sure. And at the same time, you just know it's not so cold. I don't have to break out my parka. It's sweatshirt weather. I can leave the house in a sweatshirt and feel good. I could not be happier.
You're ready to throw on a sweatshirt. You're ready to be a passenger princess, to sip your pumpkin spice latte, and just enjoy the fall weather. I get it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's since this is a completely normal episode, let's do what we always do and start off with drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud. Drink of the week.
Proszę.
Prost. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right. Brian, what did you bring for your beverage of the week this week?
I don't want anyone to ever say that I don't listen to the people, that I am not a man of the common person. I read the comments. I know, Ron, I know you are such a busy person with the with your 9 to 5.
Sure.
You don't put the work in, because the work is so important. You don't sit there and go through all the viewer and listener comments. When the people speak and say, Brian, you were A+ this week. What was going on? What made you elevate your performance?
Sure.
Do you remember episode 368? I feel like we just did it.
It feels like it was a while ago.
So fresh on my brain, episode 368. I drank coffee. Okay. I know, traditionally.
Not just coffee, Brian. Ron and Brian coffee.
Oh my gosh. There is something
available at cultofronandbrian.myshopify.com.
According to the FDA, this coffee is not hypercaffeinated. There's not an elevated level of caffeine in it. But people sat there and said, Brian, you were amazing on it. Please drink that coffee again. So I'm going to do what the people asked. Ron, you may have seen this a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you brought the carafe back.
I am bringing a carafe of coffee. I am drinking coffee this week. I am going to, there will be no sloppy Brian this week. I'm not going to be slurring my words. I'm going to be sharp. I'm going to be witty. I'm going to have my comments. Cohesive points will be made on my part. I'm drinking Ron and Brian coffee. Now, you can get this in our web store right now. If you go to, thank you, Matt, for putting up the link, cultofronandbrian.myshopify.com. Click on the link. This is the French roast. They describe it as something in a very small font that I can't read. So I will just say that it is French roast coffee. I mean, you can't get any better than that. So I'm coming to it. Ron, what are you bringing to the table this week for Drink of the Week?
As many people know, about a month or so ago, we were over in London for your wedding.
Yes,
spent some time after the fact in downtown London. Now, I believe your wife is similar to mine. She loves a good TJ Maxx visit because
Loves
as I
it.
have often heard, you have to go because it's different inventory at all the stores. You never know what you're going to
Sure.
find.
Sure.
Now, I did not realize in the UK it's TK Maxx, not
Correct.
TJ Maxx, because when they
Correct.
entered the market, there was another TJ something or other company that
Right.
they were concerned that people would get mixed up in. But I will say, props to my wife. There's a company called Avalanche Coffee out of New Zealand, and they do she does leave baseball games after the fourth inning, but also loves TJ or TK Maxx.
Sure.
They had a great these individual packet chai tea latte mixes, which I've gotten a few times here in the States. Went to a TK Maxx in one of the districts in London. Did not find the chai tea latte, but I did find, Brian, a 99% sugar-free toffee drinking chocolate mix, which just sounded delightful. Paid £3.99, which I didn't realize via the exchange rate. This box was actually $82 US. So it was a little more expensive than I was
Dollar's
expecting.
worthless.
What's that? Yeah,
The dollar is
so
worthless at this
so
point.
So
Dollar
I
is
am
worthless.
I have made a little sipping toffee chocolate for this evening, and I gotta say,
That sounds delish.
I'm not usually a fan of the whatchamacallit, sugar substitutes, but this isn't too bad if I need a little sweet treat that isn't high in calories. This kind of hits the spot. One thing about Europe, they're big into kcals, which I don't understand the difference between a kcalorie and a regular calorie, but this one at least tells me it's 60 regular calories, but it's 251 kcalories. No idea.
Ron,
60 calories.
It is the influence of the K-pop sensation. Everybody loves Korean pop music.
Really?
It is now infiltrated. European nutritional facts. It's not just good enough that you have a cal. It now has to be a K-cal. Why? Because everybody loves Blackpink. Everybody loves Blackpink.
I did not know that, but I appreciate you you giving me that heads up. In the meantime,
can I ask before we move on? Can I just ask questions? I did not know that you and your lady did some shopping while you were over there.
Oh yeah.
Were there any differences that you could pick up on other than obviously the beverage opportunities? Was there any difference between the TJ Maxx's that you go to in the Commonwealth, the great Commonwealth you're in, and while you were in London?
I will say, so our TJ Maxx is probably a little bit more heavier on the like kitchen items, food items, dishes, things of that nature, where the TK Maxx's seem to be a little bit more heavy from a clothing standpoint. Clothing and jewelry seem to be bigger there than anything else.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
How excited? These were downtown locations, so I guess you probably make more selling like a $50 sweatshirt than you do, a 50-pound sweatshirt than you do making like a 4-pound box of drinking chocolate.
How excited was the wife now? Was this a planned visit? Had she scoped out the locations of home goods stores?
She had not.
Or was she just walking the street?
We had gone over to, I want to say, Piccadilly Circus station and just started walking around because I believe that's a shopping district there. And she just happened to see it. And she was like, well, clearly we have to go in because there's different stuff at every TJ Maxx. So you got it. I think we went to 2. The second one was a little less impressive than the first one.
Got it. All right. Interesting. I just imagine her face lighting up seeing it.
It was exciting. I will say the one thing that was, I guess, disappointing in a way is there were so many shops that we have here in the States. So it was like there wasn't a lot of London or UK unique shops that we went to in a lot of these areas. So it's like I can go to Primark here in the States. I can go to Anthropology, what have you. Yeah.
Listen, Ron, I think what you're noting is the globalization of commerce that has taken place over the past 50 years. The mom and pop stores have, been pretty much wiped out. The country centric stores have become rarer and rarer as they get snapped up by global conglomerates who look to just sanitize everything.
I was also a little surprised from a fast food standpoint, some of the US fast food chains that were over there. Like I would expect, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, KFC, like those I feel are like the big ones. Kind of surprised we saw a few Five Guys over there. We saw a few Shake Shacks over there. Like I would think that you would think they're still not so prevalent in the US yet that they would already be looking at like overseas expansion, but clearly they're there.
Show me a U.S. corporation that is not instantly thinking about how can we string out every last penny of profit from this one concept. Do you think the fine folks over at Five Guys are going to be like, no, let's just keep this local. Let's just keep this to America. Let the British have whatever hamburger chain they're going to come out with. No, not at all. That's not the way.
Don't you feel they missed out by not renaming it Five Blokes for the UK?
Oh, how great!
We're gonna pop down to Five Blokes for a burger and chips.
Do you think people call it that?
I called it that, but I may have been the only one.
Good. And, I saw a movie once called
My wife would
Blokes.
just shake. You did, yes. I think there was 3 or 4 sequels that we also watched. It's a great joke that a lot of people are going to miss. Anyway, let's keep it rolling with our beef.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, do you mind if I start off this week with telling you my beef of the week?
Have at it. Have at it.
It's a beef that I think both of us have had, and it's come up before, and I'm sure it will come up again. It is
premature ejaculation.
That too, but not this particular week. It is the American healthcare system, and specifically how difficult it can be to get an appointment at various doctors' offices in a timely fashion.
Sure.
So I've got a mole on my right leg. Which I've had my entire life. Like I can never not remember it being there, but it has recently changed color and changed texture, which always say is a red flag. Like you got to get that, taken care of. So I needed to make an appointment for a dermatologist. Now, granted, it has probably been a good 25, 30 years since I've been to see a dermatologist. So probably should have been going in the interim, but regardless. So my wife has a dermatologist that she recommended. So I'm like, all right, let me call these folks up. Let me see when her doctor's available to take on a new patient. So I call and I'm like, yeah, a new patient. My wife goes there. I'd like to get an appointment. Oh yeah, she can get you in January. I'm like, what? Well, it's that's a few months away. Is there anybody else that might be able? Oh yeah, I think we might be able to get you in November or December with one of the other doctors. So like, it took like the number of offices that I needed to call. Now I finally did get an appointment. I'll be seeing someone in the next week or so. But the fact that like it is so, and the plus is I don't have to get a referral from my primary because that would have taken even longer. I would have had to get that appointment and then get a referral. Sure. But it just seems like, I don't know. It's the continuing, like we always, like people are always like, oh, you don't want to go to a country with socialized medicine because there's such a long wait for appointments.
Right.
Well, I'm in this country and I can't get an appointment for 4 to 6 months. Like, so what's the difference there? At least in one way, I'm at least not like I'm not paying for the privilege of paying slightly less when I finally do get that appointment. But just very aggravating because, I have not been great in visiting doctors. It's kind of a trait in our family. We tend to wait until we're near death to go see a doctor. So
you've gotten better with it.
I've gotten better with it, and I'm attempting to stay better. But it's just very frustrating because I can see why a lot of people, especially, I at least have the flexibility of remote work and I have the ability to adjust my schedule and stop in depending on what the availability. I mean, I would have to imagine there are people working 40, 50, 80 hours a week that just eventually say, well, fuck it, I'm just never going to be able to get to see the doctor because I can't fit it into my work schedule.
Let alone the people who can't afford a doctor.
Right. So I'm sure this won't be the first time or the last time we have this beef, but it is my beef this week. Brian, anything bugging you this week, my friend?
Well, mine is going to seem quite entitled. I'm almost embarrassed by my beef of the week. I wish you had
From
not
Whitey
gone first.
McIvory Tower, you're going to have
Oh,
something
this is
entitled.
going. This is going to be bad. Um, Rod, I am a fan of the pool on my property. I am a fan
Yes.
of it is it's an outdoor pool which has a lovely view of the Manhattan skyline. I'm just west of Midtown Manhattan, which has been built up so well on the west side of town. It's such a beautiful view while you're swimming in the water to be able to look out and just see the Manhattan
I
skyline.
remember a few weeks back, you when we did an episode, and your Uber driver commented on the
How
view
good
you
the
had.
view was.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Oh my
remember that.
God, I forgot about that Uber driver. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I forgot about him. Yeah, he talked my ear off. Anywho, it's so, I look forward to the opening of the pool every Memorial Day. This is our third summer that we've been on this property. It's, I
Has it been that
pay
long already?
yes, this is our third
Oh,
summer.
time flies.
I paid, I pay a healthy, actually, I pay half of a healthy amount. The lady, I don't want to say that I'm covering all the bills in this house.
Sure.
I'm going to get hit. However, we pay a very healthy HOA fee, for the shared space. And one of those is the pool. I look forward to it every year. My complaint is that it closes during the week on a Labor Day weekend. So,
Really?
couple weeks back,
So is that because
Labor
they don't
Day
want to have
weekend.
a lifeguard there?
Correct. Probably insurance also. But what happens is at the end of Labor Day weekend, they shut the pool down Monday through Friday. They reopen it Saturdays and Sundays. So you really only get to use it on the weekends. And it is such a it's the thing about September is, we were talking earlier, today happens to be a beautiful, non-perspiring day, but the ability to go down, into the, to the pool after a hard day. I like to do a
Yeah.
couple in the water, even if it's a brisk night. The fact was, earlier this week, I was able to get out of work a little bit early. Got home. It was just a little bit after 5:30, and I just said to myself, you know what, today would be a perfect day to go down to the pool, do a couple laps, get some exercise in, really kind of just stretch out, the lateral,
The trapezoids, the trapeziuses, those.
and then I remembered that they shut the pool was closed. It was not open, and it's a high fence. You've seen it. You visited multiple times. You got to climb. I'm not climbing over that fence. That's that fence is 5.5 feet high. I'm not going to hurt myself. So my beef of the week is the pool on my property that closes Monday through Friday after Labor Day,
And the world,
then
like on a nice, cool fall afternoon, even if you don't want to get in the pool, to just be able to hop in that hot tub, relax a bit, let the waters whisk your worries away.
Yeah. So my beef of the week, it's not the American healthcare system or a dangerously itchy growing mold that I have on my body. It's just the fact that I can't use my hot tub or pool during September. Sorry about that. I realize as I'm complaining just how entitled I feel.
Normally, normally I would pile on and agree with you here. But I have to say, the fact that you pay an additional amount per month for services, and I would imagine, your monthly fee doesn't go down when the pool hours are restricted.
Nope.
So in essence, I think you need to be on the board. Number one, I think the people need to make sure they don't make the same mistake they did in the last election cycle. They need to elect you to the board. And I think this is something that, people would support you on.
I hope so. They didn't really support me last year. Let's hope this is the year I get elected to the board.
I think that's your platform. I think Monday through Friday pool, year round, vote Perlis, vote Brian, get me in there.
Also, I will have other initiatives on there referencing the aggressive inclusion of all minorities. I want to be the person on the board who welcomes non-whites to the property. There's too many white people on my property.
Maybe dial back your comments regarding the indoor basketball court. I feel that hurt you during the last election. People want positivity, Brian, and I think that's what
Understood.
you
Don't
can
go
bring.
negative.
Exactly.
Don't go negative. Don't go
Never.
negative. Okay,
Try not to.
interesting.
When they go
Try.
low, Brian, you need to go high. I think we've shown that works.
I used to go high in college many years ago.
There you go.
All right.
Brian, as always, we have our stories of the week. Stories
Yes.
that we need to make sure we capture, we coddle, we nuzzle them against our chest. We maybe let them suckle a little bit, and then we share them with our listeners out there. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
Ron, this one is, there's not a lot of information here. However, I just want to put the spotlight on this story because I believe there is going to be a payoff in the coming weeks. Keep your eyes open for the name of James Edwin Yokeley, Yokeley. He is a now former Surrey County Board of Elections chair in North Carolina. So he is a North Carolinian election official who was, you have a photo. Oh, look at that photo. He looks very red. This man looks like he goes out into the sun and does not put sunscreen on.
He looks like you did. I think in late August, we did that episode after you had been out by the pool. It looked very similar.
That was just poor lighting, Ron. I forgot to tell everybody. I actually was quite pale. I just clicked a filter on the lamp that I have bringing light onto me. Anyway, so James Yokeley. While it does not matter what political party he is affiliated with, it just coincidentally happens to be a Republican. He is a Republican. Yokeley he was recently arrested for placing narcotics in his grandchildren's ice cream. So Yokeley informed Wilmington police on August 8th that his granddaughters had found suspicious blue pills in their Dairy Queen Blizzards. Police police reviewed video from the Dairy Queen, which revealed Yokeley actually placing the pills in the ice cream themselves. The tests on those pills revealed that the pills contained MDMA and cocaine. So this idiot decides he's going to call the police.
He's giving Molly and Coke to his grandkids, yes. Basically.
So the kids, obviously, the kids find the pills. They're both juveniles. They both told medical personnel and police that they had not ingested the substances, but while they were eating the ice cream, found what they quoted was hard items inside the ice cream, brought it to his attention, and he called police. Video footage shows him placing those pills in the ice cream. He has since resigned his position as the chair of the Board of Elections in Surrey County. We do not know yet why he did this. So this is the why has not been told, and I'm going to be keeping my eyes open for it. But holy fuck, why would he be putting ecstasy and cocaine into his grandchildren's ice cream? I want to know.
I mean, you have to think it's one of two things. Like there's definitely a mental illness at play here. He either wanted to harm his grandkids or he wanted to, make it so that they would find it and he would hopefully have maybe like a lawsuit against the company or whoever. But it's just, it is also interesting that he belongs to the political party that every Halloween seems to feel the need to put out fake warnings that, oh, you got to be careful. Sure. Your neighbors are going to put drugs in your kids' candy.
Sure.
In the meantime, he's actually putting drugs in his kids' candy.
And I just love the fact that he went to the police with the level of arrogance that he was going to not be found. And then I would have loved to have that moment when the police sat there was like, well, this Dairy Queen does have security footage. Let's cameras they see up on the walls. Let's see the footage and see him sitting there jamming pills inside the ice cream. I would have loved to have been there when the police told him that they caught him doing it. What is your story of the week, Ron? What piqued your interest this week?
This is an interesting story, kind of going. I know you live a privileged life. You live in an ivory tower, so you probably can relate very much to the people who live up in Nantucket, the
Right.
area of New England. That very very high end, a lot of ivory towers there. But apparently, their sewage is full of cocaine.
Whoa.
Apparently, going back a few years, obviously a lot of areas started testing their water for COVID, just to see if there are any spikes in COVID, things of that nature. Nantucket has continued to do this at the beginning of the summer, and is testing for other types of substances, particularly drugs, nicotine, and other items. And what they are finding, Brian, is that in the Surfside wastewater treatment facility on Nantucket, cocaine levels are about 50% higher than the national average, while fentanyl is below average. So the folks
Really?
in Nantucket can afford the pure stuff. So Brian, now this is interesting in general. We have a national average in this country of 1,000 nanograms per liter of cocaine at our sewage plants.
Really?
Northeastern U.S., typically a little bit lower at 900, but Nantucket had 1,500 nanograms per liter. Nicotine content was around average, around 4,000. Fentanyl measuring 5 nanograms compared to a national average of 15. Barely any methamphetamine, but there is something called exlazine, which is an animal tranquilizer that authorities have found being mixed in with other drugs, but that also came back with lower results. So these folks,
and where
not only can
where you're not going to find it, you're not going to find that in Ron and Brian cult of Ron and Brian coffee. You're not going to find any cocaine in it. No Exaline, no anything like that.
Sorry, but it is, I don't know. I find it somewhat impressive that as a nation, we're doing that much cocaine still, because that really felt like an 80s or 90s drug. But I guess maybe would crack just fall under that as well?
Well, I mean, it would test positive for cocaine, but it is once again just, the very concept that, of our society is that the wealthy view cocaine as this harmless, acceptable drug that they do. However, when cocaine is found in the inner city, it needs to be prioritized as a crime, and tough criminal sentences need to be issued out by our judicial system for the inner city. Like, it is just, once again, it is, the level of drugs that are being done in these privileged neighborhoods. You think of, the image that has been put out there is that drugs is an inner city menace that is causing crime waves and whatnot. But drugs are everywhere. Wealthy people do drugs also, but somehow it's okay when they do it. It's this harmless story of like, oh, wow, our drinking water has lots of cocaine.
Listen, people pay extra for the drinking water with cocaine. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, there's a big difference between drinking water and sewage. I realized the mistake I made as I was saying it. I was just too deep.
I was kind of wondering where you were getting your drinking water from. I was a little worried.
Listen, we've had stranger stories of the week.
That's true. Very, very true. Next up, Brian, we have a woman out of Kentucky. She was taken into custody after she allegedly totaled her ex-boyfriend's car following an argument. I always loved. So this is a photo of 31-year-old Stephanie Calchrist of Richmond, Kentucky. I always enjoy a mugshot when someone is clearly satisfied with what got them arrested. Like the bright smile. The hair has been done. Like, she's like, you know what? I fucking did it, and I would do it again. And what is it that she did, Brian? She was accused of inflicting nearly $12,500 in damage over a 5-day period in July. Court documents allege that she committed the following acts to her ex-boyfriend's car. She poured glitter in the air conditioning vent, cracked the windshield, cracked the rear view mirror, busted the vehicle's radio screen, and poured salt into the vehicle's engine. Her ex-boyfriend informed authorities that she had previously slashed one of his tires on July 6th. But the other acts were committed following an argument on July 15th. Yes, Brian, it seems like you have a comment or a statement.
The glitter in the air conditioning vent.
Fucking genius and maniacal all at the same time.
So evil. So evil. I never thought of that. Glitter, it's going to get everywhere. It's in the air. It's going to be landing. He's going to be finding it for months, if not years. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's genius.
So he had her ex had the vehicle towed to a repair shop where it was determined that it's a total loss with damages to be around $12,500. He allegedly told, the woman allegedly told the tow truck driver about what she had done. And the driver informed the ex-boyfriend's mother, who co-owns the car, which real narc behavior on behalf of the tow truck driver. So according to reports, Carl Quist reached out to her ex on social media and told him she was stressed out in connection to her pregnancy. Spoiler alert, we didn't realize that was in the story. And she apologized and said that she would either pay for the repairs, give him another car, or give him her car. Her father also allegedly reached out to her ex-boyfriend and said he'll make sure Stephanie pays him back for all the damage to the car. And he was certain that they could, quote, come to a better solution than Stephanie taking a felony charge so nobody gets hurt anymore.
Question.
Yes.
Just question.
Yes.
Obviously, the wounds are very fresh for this guy. He's finding glitter throughout his whole apartment. His car has been totaled.
Right.
When he looks 10 years from now, when he looks back on this relationship, do you think he's going to go, yeah, it was worth it?
You know, I mean, there is something, about crazy women that you just, you can't shake them. Yeah, they're good in so many ways. And she's like, I'm looking at this chart here. So she's like 5'3". So like, just a pint-sized terror right there.
Yep.
During an interview with police, she admitted to pouring glitter into the AC vents and damaging the windshield, but also said that her ex was, quote, overdue for the other damage. So she is being held on $12,000 bond.
Yeah, she's going to pay the price on that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's just, to your point, the glitter in the AC vent is definitely the most diabolical part of the story, because there is nothing worse than trying to get glitter out of clothing, off of skin. Like it is like I believe they mix glitter with napalm because it makes it stick that much easier to the human body. I believe I read that.
It's rough. It is rough. I want to say I'm impressed, but Jesus, this is rude. This is rough.
Brian, you were a scamp as a young boy. You played a lot of pranks and tricks around the neighborhood. Did you ever play the old ding dong ditch game where you would ring the doorbell and run off?
No, not at all. What is ding dong ditch?
That's where you ring the doorbell and then you run off before the person can answer the door.
Seems stupid.
Well,
keep going.
There is an 11-year-old Texas boy who won't be playing that game anymore because he was shot and killed by a homeowner after playing Ding Dong Ditch. The child was playing the doorbell prank with a group of friends around 11 p.m. one night when he was gunned down on Racine Street in Houston after knocking on a door and running away. The boy sustained a couple of gunshot wounds and was rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition, where he later died of his injuries. One person was detained for questioning by cops following the shooting, but has since been released. Houston police executed a search warrant, but not certain yet as to if there will be any charges filed. Now, what is interesting in this part is when I initially read this story, I was like, oh, I'm like, the homeowner probably shot the kid when he was still on his porch, hearing the ringing doorbell at 11 at night. No, this kid was gunned down in the street because he had already rang the bell and ran away. So I would think that doesn't necessarily fall under the stand your ground part, because you've already left your house, I would imagine, to be firing at this kid running down the street. But it is Texas, so you really never know what's going to happen when you're in the state of Texas.
Yeah. Texas is a wild state. We have to admit this. Wild state. I mean, unbelievable.
I know you've fired off some rounds at your neighbors from time to time in various situations. Would you justify this as an acceptable shooting?
Would I justify this as an acceptable shooting? No, not at all. Only in the most backwards of locales.
Okay.
I mean, that's utterly insane.
I never can tell with you sometimes.
No, that's utterly insane. You don't shoot somebody because they rang on your doorbell. But that's also why I try my absolute best to avoid some of those deep South countries. I mean, I call it country. It's really a state. It's just fucking bonkers down there. They'll shoot you for anything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is a little bit insane. Again, especially kids running down the street away from you. You have to realize you're not in danger at that point. At that point, you're just doing something to prove a point.
Oof, fucking insanity.
Brian, you are a child of the 70s, much like myself. Do you remember the old movie with Joe Don Baker called Walking Tall? The story of Buford Pusser, a Tennessee sheriff. I believe they also remade it in the early 2000s with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So it was. So we'll pull up a picture of Buford Pusser here. I do think the original 73 movie was the definitive story on Buford Pusser. So he was a law enforcement official. He was a sheriff in Tennessee. He had the habit of carrying this 2x4 around that you see in the photo with him, and used it to dole out his own brand of Southern justice, which apparently, I'm sure he never used it on anybody that didn't deserve it. But he became like a folk hero, and then his story was told, as I mentioned in that movie, first in 1973. He died in a car accident in 1974. Well, now he has been implicated in the cold case of his wife's murder. It was long believed that Pauline Mullins Pusser, his wife, was shot and killed in an ambush meant for her husband, but new evidence suggests that it was the late sheriff who killed his wife. A Tennessee Bureau of Investigations report uncovered inconsistencies in Buford Pusser's statement to law enforcement and others. Law enforcement uncovered physical, medical, forensic, ballistic, and reenactment evidence that contradicted the McNairy County Sheriff's account of his wife's 1967 murder. So he had reported that his wife had volunteered to ride along with him in the dark early morning hours of a disturbance call. He claims that a car pulled alongside, firing several shots toward them, killing Pauline and injuring him. However, it is now believed that she was shot outside the vehicle and then placed inside the vehicle. So this has been of a cold case investigation over the past 3 years. But what is interesting is one of the law enforcement officials said, this case is not about tearing down a legend. It's about giving dignity and closure to Pauline and her family. So he's still calling this person a legend, even though they have evidence that he killed his wife in 1967.
Sure.
Like it feels very Tennessee. I mean, we've talked about, the southern states, but it just seems like
if I can avoid that state, I consider myself likelier to live longer. But it is, it is one of those heartwarming stories where you just have one of these cold cases where, police are still, they're still, we hear so much stories about police corruption, police brutality and whatnot, but there are still police officers that are still good. They're still fighting the good fight. And they are still sitting there looking at cold cases, with new perspectives and to try to solve crimes. I think it's it makes you feel a little bit better. But I do think we need to stop referring to this man as a legend.
Yeah. I mean, he may have done some good things, but it would also seem like, he was also a murderer.
I think once you kill your wife, you can no longer, whatever positives you have brought to society as a whole, I think have been negated. And I don't think you can consider yourself, having positively contributed to society if you are also the killer of your spouse.
Interesting. Would you like to test that theory?
No, I don't. She's more likely to kill me.
No. I'm saying, like, if someone, let's say someone prevented the detonation of a nuclear device in downtown Manhattan, saving millions of lives, and then 5 years later, is arrested and convicted for killing his spouse. Still a hero?
I think it will ruin. No, not a hero anymore.
Right.
Not a hero anymore.
Good to know. I was just curious. I was kind of interested seeing how that would have played out, but you
got it.
Point.
Sorry.
All right. A Ohio man asked his boss for bereavement leave to mourn his slain pregnant girlfriend before he hired two pals to kill her on the day that she was due to have their baby. This is a photo of Cavion Warren, age 30, allegedly enlisted his friends to help kill 26-year-old India Kinnamore in her home back on March 4th in 2023, the day she was due to give birth to the couple's child, but telegraphed the murder by first asking for time off to mourn her death. Not a criminal mastermind here.
Ron, let me ask you a question now. If this man were to have, say, a month before the untimely demise of his girlfriend, if this man, a month, were able to create a system in our healthcare industry that allows people to see their providers within a week of requesting an appointment, if he were to somehow manage some kind of scheduling ability, that all providers suddenly become available to patients within a week, and that if you've got, say, a mole that needs attention, that because of this man, you're now able to see your doctor. Okay, so now fast forward a short period of time, and his pregnant girlfriend, dies prior to the birth of their child. Is this man still a legend in your book?
I think that knocks him down. I don't think I can look at him the same way after that.
All right. Okay.
What is amazing to me, and I know we've spoken about this before, like that people think that they can get away with murder, especially of a spouse or a close one, when you're going to be one of the prime suspects. But to then be like on the to-do list, I feel like hiring the killers should have been higher up than bereavement leave. Like, all right, I will hire the killers first. Number 2, make sure she's been killed. 3, request bereavement leave from work. But he kind of moved that bereavement leave up to the top. And I think that was his first main misstep here.
But hold on a second. Maybe he is a very important person. Maybe he is classified as key personnel at his place of work. And he is just being considerate to management in terms of their staffing needs for that period of time, that prior to her death, he's sitting there saying, listen, I've got to tell my boss I'm going to be out these days. I've got to sit there and schedule this to the point where we can find coverage for that period of time where I'm out. That he just, we talk about the lack of American work ethic that's going on right now. Here's an example of somebody who prioritized work over other things. And yet, instead of rewarding this person with your accolades, you're mocking him for not being smart. I feel like you're being contradictory here.
In your mind, he is putting an emphasis on shareholder value, and therefore should be given a pass for taking a human life.
I'm not saying be given a pass, but I am saying we need to reward good behavior in this country. We need to punish bad behavior, but we need to reward the good behavior. And when somebody
All right.
does something that is in line with what we request, we should be given some type of positive reinforcement on it.
All right. Well, this individual, Mr. Warren, was allegedly seeing another woman, was struggling financially, even losing his home, and had tried to pressure his girlfriend into having an abortion. When she did not, he allegedly hired Robert Irvin, age 20, and 22-year-old Lamar Morris Suggs, who broke into the woman's home around 6 a.m. with plans to mask the murder as a burglary gone wrong. All three have since been arrested, with all of them being kept behind bars with high amounts of bail. All three face life in prison if convicted.
Ooh, yeah, not a good look. Not
No.
a good look for this guy.
Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, have you heard about this lawsuit that Sting has gotten from his former bandmates?
I have.
Millions in lost royalties. I know royalties tend to be a bit of a sore subject for you, based on the LLC that holds our podcast merch money. Why is Sting being sued, Brian?
Well, apparently, as the band that he was in, The Police, with Andy Summers and Stuart Copeland, I believe was the drummer's name.
Yes.
As the band was falling apart, Sting aggressively had his personnel go in there and list him as the primary songwriter publisher for many of the Police hits, which basically drove songwriting credit money to Sting, so that funds were not being sent to his bandmates. Somehow 40 years later, they get wise to it of like, hey, we think there's some missing money here. And now they are going to court to try to get some of the money back that they are owed.
I mean, don't you think that's just good business on Sting's part?
Well, I would, to screw over your partners, I think it shows a complete lack of ethics, of morals. I believe that when you've got artists that are working together, that are, putting in equal parts of the art, I think it is very important that it be treated as a true partnership, not as a dictatorship, where one party basically commands not just the attention and the accolades, but also shares the monies that are incoming. It's not fair. It is not fair that you've got two parties of the police, for instance, who are basically putting in all that work on a quote unquote volunteer basis, while Sting is just sitting there in his in his lofty house in Philly adjacent with his private pool in the backyard, which was paid for by merch money from the podcast.
But I feel like, from what I've read, like Sting, as far as, percentages of the band Police, he made up 51% of the band ownership, while the other two only had 49%. I mean, the numbers don't lie, Brian.
But then he should be splitting the merch funds 49%, just simply because he has ownership of 51% of the entity. That doesn't give him 100% of the royalties that are associated with that entertainment piece, that art. He should be splitting it 51-49, and that his partners should be receiving 49% of all the proceeds.
To your point, though, I'm not sure why it took so long. I mean, especially you would think when all the news came out about how much money Sting was collecting from Sean Diddy Combs,
the Diddler, as you like to call him.
Surprised his bandmates didn't start asking questions back then.
Yeah. But it's important that you send me the money that I am owed, Ron.
Well, listen, as we often mention here on the podcast, we don't really take money out of the podcast. We don't take merch money out of the podcast. We put money back into
Sure.
the show. So at some point, should we become liquid as a podcast, I'll be more than happy to send you your portion of that, minus appropriate fees for our managers, our agents, our accountants. Matt has to get a piece of it. You understand. It's a lot. I mean, it's more than probably you can wrap your head around. So you just let me continue to worry about the podcast finances.
I don't trust you. Do not trust you. Never have. Never will.
All right. Well, around 70 piles of cremated human remains were found in a mass grave in a remote desert outside of Las Vegas. And authorities have no idea where they got there. An anonymous source stumbled upon an arrangement of burned flesh and pulverized bone near a dirt road outside the town of Searchlight. And here is a photo of the scene. It does look a little creepy for those of you not on the video, which you should be on the video. You just should really be watching this on YouTube.
Missing out.
But a number of piles of ash, which the Nevada Bureau of Land Management have confirmed to be the ashes of human remains. It says the individual non-commercial scattering of cremated remains is permissible, but large-scale commercial disposal is subject to strict regulations. So I guess perhaps people are thinking maybe this is a local funeral home. Maybe not. I mean, what's your thoughts on this, Brian?
It's got to be a local funeral home. There's anybody who's hiding bodies would not make it so obvious and would not leave them just on top of each other, so close to each other. It would be there would be some effort to hide them. This has got to be. Speaking of which, not to change the subject, did you ever watch The Mortician on HBO?
Oh yes, most definitely.
How was that? I wanted to watch that, but my lady said she found it depressing and made me turn it off.
I mean, it was definitely depressing, but interesting. I mean, this is a man who, basically to, make money. I mean, I don't think I'm spoiling the story, but sure. most funeral homes will cremate individuals one at a time. This guy had the business sense to say, well, if I just jam this oven with as many people as I can, burn them all down, and then just separate the ashes, who's going to know? So it's, I would say, yes, it is a depressing story. I found it interesting. It runs a little bit long, but okay. I would think definitely worth the watch.
Interesting. I'm going to put that back on my list because I've been looking for something to watch for a while. So
you've been mentioning that. You've said that in a few episodes now. That sure. It's been challenging for you to find something to watch.
That's all right. Listen, we still have. I know people are thinking we're wrapping this up. We still got stories to cover.
Still stories to come. Do you remember the actor Josh? How do you pronounce that last name? Duhamel.
Duhamel. I thought Duhamel. One of those.
Wasn't he married to Fergie at one point? Am I remembering?
At one point, I don't know that they were married, but definitely, definitely dated for several years.
All right. Well, he married, has kids, and apparently has a home in Minnesota where he says that he is potentially ready to weather an apocalypse. Here is a photo of the 52-year-old actor on his property. In an interview with People magazine, he said that they probably have about 70% of what is needed to survive the apocalypse. Not quite 100%. He said he still needs to sharpen his survival skills, get to be a better hunter, a better fisherman, stockpile a little bit more food supply. He left Las Vegas years ago to live off grid in the cabin that he's been building for the past 15 years.
I don't get this. This is, and don't get me wrong. All I need to do is be wrong once, and it's terrible.
Right.
I do not understand people that put so much time and effort in their life preparing for the end times that has, based on history, never happened. You've got these religions, the Seventh Day Adventists, I believe, where it's just like, oh, the world's going to end on this day. The world's going to end on this day. No. Okay, well, it didn't end on this day.
Now it's going to end on this
God
day.
spoke to me last night, and he's pushed it forward 18 months. But the people, I remember the Y2K people that were like hoarding canned foods. During the Cold War, people were building nuclear bunkers underground because they were going to survive the nuclear holocaust by eating baked beans for 7 years with their family with no running water somehow. The level of effort that people have put into preparing for the apocalypse that has never happened. Like, think of, don't get me wrong, this man has a right to live his life however he wants. I can judge him. He's looking at me, judging. He's probably laughing at me because I can't go into my pool, on a Wednesday at 5:45. Looks like he's got a lovely pool out there in Minneapolis, whatever. But it's just like the amount of wasted effort to prepare for the apocalypse, and then you just die, and the apocalypse never happened. Great. He's chopped a lot of wood. I'm sure that's great for his lower back. I'm sure he has no sciatica. However, it's just he could have spent this time doing something so much more contributory towards society as a whole.
Listen, I think you and I have to hope that there is not an apocalypse in our lifetime, because we're not surviving that. Nor do I want to.
Do we want to? I don't want to survive. I'm literally, if the apocalypse were to happen tomorrow, I'm literally just jumping over that 3-foot fence and just diving into the Hudson. I'll just drown in the Hudson without a problem. It'll take me maybe a minute or so pretending I can swim, and then I'll just drown, and it'll be pleasantly over very quickly. I'm not sitting there fighting off zombies. It's not going to happen.
Once the food delivery apps go dark, we're done for.
Absolutely. If there's not going to be
hunters, we're not gatherers.
No, there's no way I could chop wood. Do you realize what that would do to my lower back if I had to raise an axe over my head and drag it down? It would turn halfway and just.
The moment that PF Chang's next to your building goes dark, you're done for.
Of course. If I can't get that shredded orange chicken, I'm done. I'm done.
I'm done.
I don't get the apocalypse-minded people who are like, I'm preparing for the. It's like, this is. I do not see that as an admirable. I'm prepping my family for. It's not. You're just a waste. It's a diversion from reality.
Yeah, like I look at those people, they buy like those, what was Alex Jones selling? Like the 100-day food buckets. Supply, the bucket,
a gigantic bucket.
You're gonna mix up. You're gonna take out your packet of freeze-dried lentils, and mix some water in it, and sit there and be like, oh, this is good. This is living.
Yeah.
I used to eat steak at steakhouses in New York City, but I'm fine recycling my urine and drinking it again. Nothing wrong.
Disgusting. Just disgusting. Yeah, it just seems like such a waste. It seems like such a waste to me. But okay. And yet somehow there are people in this country who are looking at that like admirably, like being like, yeah, he's taking care of his family. He's going to make sure that, when shit goes down, he's taken care of. He's providing for his children. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They took our jobs.
By the way, South Park has been brilliant this year. Just brilliant.
This is you can say a lot of bad things about the Trump administration, but one thing you can say is it definitely has made the South Park raise its game again.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely. It's been great. Yes.
And the fact that they
put out already 5 episodes, correct?
I believe so. And the fact that they are part of the Paramount family, who basically, paid off Donald Trump with donations to his presidential library, just makes it that much more satisfying.
I know, absolutely. Come on, we got some more good stories. What do we got?
All right. Well, as we know, baseball season getting close to wrapping up. But there was a recent game between the Texas Rangers and the Athletics during the top of the fifth inning. The camera cut to a couple in the stands who seemed to know that they were on camera. And then the guy eventually reaches over and grabs the woman's chest. And the broadcasters were apparently shocked by this.
Yeah, well, not only that, but in full sight of the child, there's children around. I mean, there is a level of behavior that you should carry yourself in when there are children around. No children around. Oh yeah, sure. It becomes an orgy zone. There's nothing you can do about that. But when there are children around, don't be grabbing your lady's chest. It's inappropriate.
Now, what was interesting and what some people commented was, both of them had a little sweet treat. They both had a little ice cream, and it seemed like the camera was hanging on them a little longer than maybe. So some people were like, "Oh, the woman just wanted to eat her ice cream, but didn't want to do it on camera." So the guy just figures, "Hey, I'll grab her chest, and that will definitely get the cameras off of us."
You think that's the case?
I don't know, but it makes sense. Listen, I will say there are, for whatever reason, cameramen in Major League Baseball stadiums seem to feel that they can just, keep their cameras in anyone's faces for an extended period of time and then be shocked when it goes sideways.
They do also creepily look for attractive women. I mean, that is just that has been a historical fact over time. As they will zoom in on what is considered socially attractive women. We'll absolutely zoom in, and then the announcers will make references to them.
Yeah. I mean, again, the thing that's, I don't know, that I'm torn on is they kept referring to this as a sex act. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that angle.
I wouldn't agree with that. Just he groped her. It happens.
Yeah. It wasn't even a grab. It was more like a rub, I guess you could say.
Seemed like a little bit more than just a rub. He got himself a handful.
I mean, listen, she had a handful available and he took it.
That is true. That is a good point. Very fair point.
All right. I think we have enough time for another story here. Let me just make sure we have the photo. You can never not appreciate Texas for the amount of stories that they give us for this podcast. Like,
of course,
if Texas and Florida went away, I think we might have to go to a half hour.
Agree.
So this is Houston, Texas, Brian, and two friends took turns shooting each other in the head with a rifle while wearing Kevlar helmets inside of a home, with one man now being charged with the other man's murder. This is Sean O'Donnell, age 37. He was taken into custody at his home in Houston back on August 17th in connection to the shooting death of Aaron Prout, age 34, a native of the UK. They were inside O'Donnell's home, firing at each other with a rifle while wearing the bullet-resistant helmets. When Prout was seriously injured by the gunfire, the British man was transported to an area hospital where he died from his injuries. O'Donnell has been charged with murder and is awaiting trial.
Well, I guess the Kevlar helmet did work on him. I mean,
there is some protection. They do warn people that the Kevlar does not provide 100% protection. Do we feel it doesn't go into it in the story? Do we feel alcohol may have been involved?
I'm actually going to elevate it and say that I believe there's some crystal meth that was involved.
Okay. He doesn't give the look of a meth head, though.
Well, that is actually a very ignorant statement on your part, champ, because crystal meth is used by lots of different looking people. Are you trying to imply that he is, he doesn't have that sunken in eye look, or that his cheeks are not been robbed of any natural? Yeah.
I mean, we can't tell if he's missing any teeth because his mouth is closed, but you rarely see meth addicts with a trimmed beard, and that's a pretty crisp fade he's got.
It's a nice haircut. There. That's a good haircut. I do appreciate a good haircut. He's got one. Yeah, all right. You're right. Maybe it was just cocaine.
If you're gonna do the work on your beard, on your hair, the eyebrows need some work.
Really?
Like they're a little disjointed. I feel like those.
Well, he's got the horizontal line, and then he's got the diagonal coming in off the side. He obviously can't, much like you, who struggle to grow a beard, mustache that connects with each other. His eyebrow doesn't connect with itself.
Fair enough. A lot of good points being made here. A lot of good points.
I'm going to tell you something. I may be drinking coffee every show this month.
You have been on fuego, my friend.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Don't forget, folks, go to cultofronandbrian.com. That's where you will find all things Ron and Brian. You'll find our social media. You'll find past episodes. And you will find a link in the upper right-hand corner to become a patron, to join our Patreon. You get swag. You can join us on After Dark episodes. Of course, as we push very often, don't forget to go to our merch store at cultofronandbrian.myshopify.com, where you get coffees, teas, truckers caps, mugs, t-shirts, all sorts of great stuff to show your support for your favorite podcast out there. Brian, it's been another delightful episode. Appreciate you, as always.
Appreciate you
joining me here. Anything else before we wrap up yet another legendary episode of the Cult of Rock?
Another episode. Oh, listen, it's my favorite time of year. Everybody just enjoy it. It's going to get cold soon. Enjoy it while you got it.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We will catch you again next week.
Thank you for joining us for the latest episode of The Cult of Ron and Brian. A non-tax deductible contribution can be made by subscribing to our Patreon. Visit cultofronandbrian.com and click on Become a Patron. We'll see you again next week.